welcome back to
Bunso Bites.
I am your host, Ami43.
And I'm your co-host, Shiggy.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about first dates. But before we get into the full episode, just wanted to give our weekly update.
Right.
Chiggy, do you have anything going on fancy this week?
No, not really. My update is another gaming update. So for this one, we, as in me and my couple of friends that play online.
His fiend friends.
No, not really this time. It's not a first-person shooter, but we are playing Monster Hunter Wilds.
They're still fiends because
No,
he
we're
stays
not.
up really late and plays really late.
We play late, yes, but we're not like pros at this game. But we like to play it. We like to play around a lot. So it's.
Are you pros at the other game?
Hey, I mean, I would say we're pretty good at Halo, but Call of Duty probably not.
Yeah.
But at least for this game, it's more lax and chill.
Yeah.
So a lot of our chat during the game is either silent because we're focusing on trying to kill the monster, or we're just talking about dumb things.
And the game is, because you have yet to say it.
Oh, I've said it already.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh.
It's Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. And honestly, it's a really cool game. It's beautiful. The last Monster Hunter was...
The last Monster Hunter that I played was not Wilds. Rise.
Rise. I was
The
like,
one
I know
that was
it
on
starts with an R.
Switch.
Yes. And that was a beautiful game, but I've seen Chiggy play this version of Monster Hunter. I'm already forgetting. I'm getting
Wilds.
mixed up. Wilds. And yeah, the gameplay is really, really cool. The gameplay also has changed because we've talked about this. Originally, Chiggy plays with Big Thor Hammer, and now Chiggy plays with
Sword and
Ninja
Shield.
Sword.
Yeah.
Oh, Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield.
Okay, Pokemon. And can you explain to our lovely audience why did you change it up?
So for Hammer, it is a slower weapon, and it does a significantly larger amount of damage than most weapons.
Yeah.
But I just feel that with the timing and all the new changes with this game, it's not as versatile as I'd like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Sword and Shield, it's very...
It's a lot faster paced.
It's a lot faster paced. It's a very novice weapon. So like all the beginners will start with that weapon. But I like it because it's so fast.
Yeah.
The timing involved with blocking and the new updates to this game, where if you block at the correct time, you can get invincibility frames, and you can you can block through their heavy attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after, you have invincibility frames where you can counter, and that will do a significant amount of damage.
Yes.
It reacts so quickly with Sword and Shield because you attack a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all quick attacks. So right after each quick attack, you have a frame where you can block.
Yeah.
And so if you're in the middle of a combo, you can stop immediately and just block,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can perform your that block so that you get those iframes.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're doing it with Hammer is a timing thing.
It is.
Where your specific upswing on the Hammer will be your invincibility frame, and you have to time that upswing to hit with the monster's attack.
Interesting.
So not only do you have to take into account what move you're going to do next, you have to be at the correct moves to do that upswing.
Right, within the combo, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's a lot harder for me because usually I just like smashing the monster. But if I have to smash and then wait and then time it so that I counter, it's not as fluid as I'd like it to be.
I see. And so, and I know we're getting into the weeds a little bit, but genuinely, this is I love getting into the gleeky stuff about it. So when I used to play Monster Hunter, and by used to play Monster Hunter, it was Monster Hunter Mobile and then sometimes on the Switch. I was, as Chiggy said, novice style, always playing with either sword or some type of blade, because I really liked, again, that fast-paced kind of almost mashing, like you're just like attack, and then run to dodge, like or what is it, crouch dodge, not crouch dodge, but like when you roll away to dodge. That was my style of play. And so I'm interested because when we would play together, we complemented each other really well, because whenever you were playing with hammer and then I was playing with sword, I could do a lot of the swingy stabby stuff, and then you were doing a lot of just like crushing, and if you don't know, when you play Monster Hunter, all of those things can factor into parts that you receive from monsters, which helps then upgrade your weapons.
Correct.
I'm sounding very gleeky right now.
Mm.
But since you have changed weapons, and I know you play with other people, does that change the dynamic of the party, or like does that change how you guys approach your missions, because that does affect how your drops come?
Right now it doesn't, only because the other people that I play with all play the same weapon.
Oh, seriously? No one plays anything different?
So in Wild you can have 2 weapons.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason the others that I play with all play dual blade as one of their weapons.
Okay.
And so we have all slicing weapons, which would cut things off. So specifically the
tails.
We don't have anything that really bashes.
Yeah.
Except my shield, when I use sword and shield, can do that. Oh. It's just specific attacks that does that.
Gotcha.
So getting specific types of items to drop does take a little bit more luck for me.
Okay.
But I do manage to get everything that I need to craft the weapons and armors that I need.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And I wonder, I mean, there's always minute changes when updates come out, so I wonder if maybe they altered the percentages, because I know sometimes even when we were running our, you doing hammer and me doing sword, and we would both be thwacking at a tail, and then we wouldn't get a tail drop, and it was the most infuriating thing in the world.
Yeah.
To the point that sometimes he would even switch over to swords that were both trying to cut off the tail, and then we still didn't get it. So maybe they heard the frustrations of the players and made the drops a little easier. But I'm glad that not only am I glad that this game has come out and you're enjoying it, but I'm glad that you are enjoying it with your friends. And as we've discussed in our previous gaming episode, like I love gaming with friends. I think that's the community around gaming is the best kind of community, and it's the best way to enjoy games, in my opinion. We went on a tangent, but love that for us. No, genuinely, I love that for us, because this is genuinely how Chiggy and I talk. We love talking about and getting into the weeds of these types of things, which is, I mean, the whole kind of shtick with this podcast. And I'm glad that we're comfortable enough to do this on camera, to be honest. Anyway, back on track, kind of. My weekly update is more wedding related, as in our last episode you guys heard. Chiggy is my ex-boyfriend and current fiance.
Correct.
So in conjunction with that, we have been, not really, but kind of, because we've still been very, very busy, but we've been piecing together information. We've been doing a lot of research. That's what I'll say. We've been doing a lot of research, aka I've been doing a lot of research, but Chiggy has been helping me. I want to make that very clear. And we are on the hunt for our venue. So a lot of things have happened, and we have an idea of what we're looking for in a venue, and then we actually had a dream venue, and then said venue was like, oh, actually we're like not gonna exist when you guys get married. And we're like, wait, what? And then our second option was like, oh, we're gonna go under renovation for a year and a half. Wait, what? And it's just all these things. And so it's like, okay. And then our last backup permanently closed, and we're just like, okay. So it's really funny, like we had talked about this even before we were engaged, about like, oh, it'll be so easy because like we know this is what we want, and it's great, it was within the budget, everything is cool. And then now kind of feeling like, well, we have to start from scratch,
basically. Yeah.
So all of that to say, I have been very, very, very busy, and like taking every like spare moment that I have where we're not busy taking care of other things in our lives, and just Googling all the places and all the things. And I have appointments scheduled. I literally have 3 back-to-back appointments tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
scheduled to visit 3 venues. One, I'm already pretty sure that we're not going to do because just budget wise, it's not that we couldn't afford it, but I think we wanted to spread our money out a little bit differently compared to how they're going to dictate. But I still wanted to visit it to see if there's some sliver of they'll give me something that will make me be like to reconsider. And then the other 2 venues are venues that we are not as familiar with, but we are interested in. And so being able to go in person and being able to get last minute appointments was kind of, it was crazy. And I will say everyone has been really, really nice. So I'm excited, a little stressed, but it's okay. We have I've started setting up, not fully, but I started setting up our wedding planning binders because I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to do the whole, he has a binder, I have a binder, and how we're going to figure it out. And, hopefully it'll go well. And I'm excited. It's kind of the not first. There's a lot of things that have been happening, but one of the earlier things that we are doing with wedding planning, and I'm excited about it. And in every way that I can be excited without also being stressed out and anxious and worried and all the things. But we're here to enjoy the process. I want to make that very clear because I feel like a lot of people in my life, and thank you to all of my friends and family who are so worried about me and my stress levels right now, and my anxiety. But I genuinely, and I hope that it's clear, I'm so grateful, first of all, to even be able to be in a place where I can plan my dream wedding in a lot of ways. And not everyone has that opportunity. So the fact that I can even go to, like I said, there's a venue that is just, it's really expensive, but if we really wanted to, we really could go there if we really wanted to. So it's like, and being able to have that opportunity is, I'm so immensely grateful, but also I'm really trying to, in my own way, I want to enjoy this as much as I can. I mean, I hope this is the only time I get married, so I better make it count now and enjoy it. I do event planning I do event planning already as it is in a lot of ways. And so I want to do, because this is our wedding, it's like, oh, I can do it my way. Like, right. I don't have to collaborate with anyone other than Chiggy. And Chiggy is normally just like,
whatever.
Does that make you happy? But that's the thing, is like, I don't want you to just be whatever. I want you to have an opinion too, and I want it to be very us, which from the beginning, I think, with all the ideas that we even came up with from the beginning, it's very much a gleeky, fun, theatrical, dramatic, but also just fun party that we're gonna have with the people that we love and cherish the most. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, in addition to all that, we can get really, really good food, which we already have an idea of who we want our caterer to be anyways, and they do pretty bomb food, so
right,
that's really exciting.
So I think the problem right now for venues with us at the moment is the venues that we're looking at, since they're all non-existent anymore,
not available, yeah.
The ones that are available to us don't really cater to customization. So for
as much.
Yes. So for us, we do have specific things that we want at the reception, but with those venues, they're not allowing us to bring that to the reception.
Right.
So that's really the deciding factor of what we're going to determine as our actual venue. Other than money, because that's usually the deciding factor.
Right.
I only have like 2 things that I would like a venue to have for me.
And what are those 2 things?
One would be for, and this is very me.
Yeah.
For the, I guess, the hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres, yeah.
When everyone's waiting outside before you get into the actual reception
Cocktail hour.
area,
Mm-hmm.
to have a little setup for games.
Yeah.
Just have maybe one or two TVs with a console, or I bought that the joysticks,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so you can have those arcade type games out there too.
Yeah.
And then instead of, because we can't have a first dance, instead of a first dance, I would replace it with a first game.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe a Mario Kart, only because that's very family friendly.
Uh-huh.
And so our first
Not
dance
me
would,
taking notes so that I can practice for the rest of the year and make sure that I win when we play this game.
so instead of having a first dance, we'd have a first race, I
Yeah.
guess.
No, but first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like that.
those are the only two things really. Of course, both of them had to be video game related.
Yeah.
But everything else, like the food, the things that we had planned for food, even if we don't get those, I wouldn't be like, it wouldn't really
It's not
change
the
my
end
mind.
of the world. Yeah. I will say a lot of the quote unquote customizations, or the things that and this was all things that we just would talk about in passing. All of these things are extra, are like icing on the already delicious cake of what we are hoping our wedding to be. Like I said, we already have a pretty decent idea of who we want our caterer to be. They make really, really great food. And specifically the video game that you're talking about, where you're like, instead of a first dance, I wanted to shout out our friend RJ. I'm pretty sure it was RJ. He sent that to me. And funny enough, I'm pretty sure he sent that to me, and then Chiggy and I talked about it later because it was on his FYP, and I was like, oh yeah, I was just talking about that with our friend. So shout out to RJ. But a lot of that it's all because even with me, like, I'm like, oh, I want the centerpieces to be like this, or I want it to be Disney this or Pokemon that or whatever. And again, just kind of these like hyper specific quote unquote customizations. But at the end of the day, if I just have a thing of flowers as my centerpiece, I'm not going to sweat it. If anything, it'll be less stress for me because I wouldn't be DIYing as much. But then I'm also, actually, that's another thing I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to DIY a lot. And not because of like the stressy part or try to save money or whatever. I just really like DIYing and creating things, and I'm like, I want to do that. We were talking about this the other day. I was thinking about DIYing my reception dress, and we've changed our minds since, but it was on the table for a second there. But yeah, again, another tangent. That was the weekly / wedding update. And actually, I am curious. I know I normally talk about commenting later on in the episode, but are you guys even interested in wedding content? Please let us know. I could talk about wedding content forever, but no. And again, and that's the thing. We let us change let us change the dynamic of the conversation. Wedding content should not just be brides only. It should not, because at the end of the day, the wedding is between you and your significant other. So it should be the two of you making the decisions for your best favorite day ever. That's why we're doing video game stuff. That's why we're doing all of this. All of our interests. That's what we want it to be. It shouldn't be, people argue like, oh, it's the bride's day, it's the bride's day. Sure, I think the bride tends to put a lot of time and effort and they do everything to look their best that day, but the bride is marrying someone, and that someone is equally as important on that day. So let's change that conversation. It is for both of the significant others, your person, your soulmate, whatever. And so again, if you guys, let us know if you guys are still in, if not still, we just started, but like, if you guys are even interested in wedding content. Would you like it as weekly updates like we're doing right now, or would you like it as its own episodes, like maybe once a month or so? Let us know. I don't want to bombard y'all, but at the same time, like I said, I could talk about weddings for a long time, and that's okay. But anyways, back into the actual topic of the episode. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about first dates because we have love on the mind, obviously. Something Chiggy and I, we were talking about, and we were like, oh, let's make that a podcast episode, was first dates. I feel like first dates, there's so much, there's so many questions, and there's so many, like, how do you approach it type of things. And so we were just really interested in, obviously we've had our first date, and and it was really interesting to see the different perspectives, guy and girl, and just kind of how you approach it. So to get started, and this is, I will also say, preface this, I did get a couple little like hot take type situations from the internet, so we're gonna get into that. But to get started with first dates, Chiggy, is chivalry dead?
Yes, very much so.
Just immediate.
Yeah.
Just absolutely immediate.
Chivalry as it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, I think of it, with like knights and maidens and all that.
Okay.
Back in that time for chivalry, it's dead. Chivalry now, I think of it as,
what is 2025 chivalry?
for me, like, just making your significant other, of course, for the guy, making your partner not doing the things that she would normally have to do by herself.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're going into the restaurant, opening the door for her, or if you're going to the car, opening the door for her and then getting into the car, or pulling out the seat for her when you're at the dinner table, and then pushing the seat in for her.
I think that's a common one people forget.
Yeah. I guess carrying the leftovers from whatever meal you had.
Yeah.
Or carrying the shopping bags.
Oh,
from
okay, yeah. Like after grocery shopping or whatever. Yeah.
Not even that. If you're shopping at the mall or something.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's the type of chivalry that I think of nowadays. But that's what I would inherently do. Not because that's what modern standards is, but that's just what I would inherently do myself.
Yeah.
Other than that, what would your standards of chivalry be?
I think the way I see it is, and the only thing I can draw from is what I grew up with, but it's just the idea of, and this is again my personal experience, the way my dad honors and respects my mom. So to me, chivalry it wasn't that he was doing things for her or to impress her. He was doing them because of his deep respect and love for her. He treated my mom as a queen because she was his queen. She is. They are very much alive. I'm so sorry. She is the queen. He opens doors for her. He drives her everywhere. He holds her shop. He has the patience of a saint when it comes to whatever with her, and all that to say, don't get me wrong, my mother very much loves my father back, in their own way, but it's its own kind of like love language. There's a give and a take, and when you show your partner love, I think not only in the right circumstances, right? And I'm speaking specifically for, your soulmate. When you show your partner love and you show that when you are being selfless in your love, and it's given to your partner, it grows within your partner and it's given right back in so many ways. It's not just because, and I hate saying like it's a give and take, because it should not be transactional, but when you are respecting and loving your person, and whether that's opening the door for them or holding their shopping bags or cooking meals for them or taking care of them, you know, taking care, whatever it may be, in that sense, it becomes a cycle between the two of you of that's how you communicate your love to each other. Love is a verb, not a thing, not a noun. It is a noun, but in this in my explanation, love is a verb, and so you have to have the actions behind it. And my parents are old school. I grew up old school, so to be honest, just because you mentioned it, most of the time, I'm gonna be real, I open my car door, but that's normally because I'm just walking faster than Chiggy. So I end up at the car. So. I end up at the car sooner than him. Normally because my phone is dying and I need to plug it in. That's a personal problem. The reason why he carries the leftovers, because 9 times out of 10 I would leave them and I forget them, even though I'm the one that has the leftovers. Chiggy does open the door for me when we're out, whether that's like we're going into a store or we're going into a restaurant. He still does that. So I think we've adapted. Like, it's not like you do all the things, but you do the things that make sense. And normally you're doing those things because I'm just very forgetful and spacing out. So, which I think is totally fine. All that to say, on a first date, just guys, just do it. Do all the correct things. You know you gotta open the door. You know you gotta, hold the chair out. Let her sit first, and then you sit. Like, just do all the things so that you're quote unquote on like your best behavior. Cause a first date in a lot of ways is kind of like it's its own like first impression. So you want to make a good impression, But yeah, that's again, I'm still laughing at the fact that you were like, is chivalry dead? Yes. Just immediately. Also, when you're talking about opening a car door, there's this meme that I saw of this lady who she was like, she said something about like not dealing or not putting up with it or something like that until my husband becomes like, the type of husband I want him to be or whatever. And so they go to the car and he doesn't open the door for her. So then she just lies down on the floor, like outside of the car, and he gets in the car and he's like looking for her. And then finally he gets out of the car and sees her just lying in the yard and her hands are crossed. And she's just like, you didn't open the door for me. Like she was like throwing like a tantrum or something. And I thought it was so funny because I was just like, I mean, yeah, but it's really not that big of a deal. For me, it's not that big of a deal. Again, 9 times out of 10, I'm walking faster than Chiggy. Not trying to leave him behind. Sometimes I get distracted and I walk faster. Again, probably because I need to charge my phone. Okay, so next thing. Where should you even go on your first date, Chiggy? Do you have any thoughts or recommendations on this?
Yeah. So, first dates, definitely not fast food.
Oh, definitely not fast food.
Definitely not fast food.
Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't do like if this was not us.
Yeah.
If this was a girl that I was dating for the very first time, that's not you. Okay, and I was trying to impress this girl. It wouldn't be like at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, like stuff I would eat alone.
Okay.
I would do some type of sit-down dinner.
Okay.
But other than that, I wouldn't do like coffee dates only because...
Interesting. Why?
Only because I don't like drinking coffee regularly.
Wow. Yeah.
And so if we had a coffee date...
He'd be like, I drink water.
Yeah, I'd have water. Also, just being at a place that serves food, if it's not a full meal, it's like, what am I doing there? That's me being a fat kid. So if like we went to a Starbucks as a first date, I'd be like, what am I doing here? I'd have to order like 3 or 4 sandwiches to get full.
Stop. He'd be like, can I get the sandwich box? I need 3.
But yeah, I wouldn't do coffee a date.
Okay, that's really interesting. That's really, really interesting. So you do some type of basic sit down. I'm going to just generalize, maybe like Chili's Applebee's style.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Would you go any more expensive or higher, like fancier than like a Chili's Applebee's?
A little bit, not towards fine dining.
Okay.
That's,
What would cross the line?
Crossing the line would probably be like a Ruth's Chris.
Oh yeah, not for a first date. No. That's like people get proposed to at a Ruth's Chris. You don't want to go on a first date at Ruth's Chris. And then like you said, fast food was too low. So then what would like? Now I want to like bounce back and forth with you. What would count? Would Raising Cane's be fast food?
Yes.
Would I'm trying to think of like what are some in betweens, because there's like a couple in betweens there, right? Like where, yeah, it might have a fast food counter, but like you can still sit down and eat without it being. Oh wow, I can't think of anything.
Wow.
Would KBBQ be too much?
As a first date,
Yeah.
it would be a really fun first date.
Yeah.
If you're that type of person that's very extroverted, and
Oh, okay.
if that's just like your regular vibe,
Yeah.
like you can carry that type of energy throughout the course of the meal, and continue
That's
that
true.
on
Yeah.
for all the other dates. Sure.
Yeah.
For me personally, I wouldn't do that as a first date.
Mhm.
It's a little over the top for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to hold that energy throughout.
I see. Yeah. And we'll get into that later. But, and then what about like activities, or do you think a first date should be a meal?
Yeah, just the meal.
Just a meal?
Mhm.
Okay. So, all that to say, which I did not know that that's what you thought, specifically about like the coffee thing, because I have a very hyper specific formula for first dates. And this could be because I'm neurotic, but this could also just be like, this is just how I experienced it, or how it made sense the most for me. This is not at all how Chiggy and I first started dating, funny enough, but
Mhm.
this was kind of the norm for me. And by norm, I would say this was like late high school into college, maybe, after college, like my early 20s, is that any type of first date, whether it was, and by first date, this could literally just be like, you met a guy that you're kind of interested in, but that you don't really know, and blah, 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 whatever. So like, hey, let's hang out to see how this works out type of first date. But it could also just be like a, hey, I like you too. Okay, let's go on a first date. So my formula very specifically is, you start at a Starbucks and or coffee shop. Where I grew up, it was Starbucks, because there weren't the coffee shops. You either had to have money, which I didn't have money back then, or they were just like not in places that were, it wasn't as prolific as it is now. You can find a coffee shop anywhere nowadays. So started a coffee shop, and it's kind of like, this is the appetizer of the first date. So you start at a coffee shop. If things are going well, then you continue to phase 2. If they are not going well, you both have an out, and it's not awkward or weird. Also, generally speaking, if we're going to assume that this is like a dinner-esque time, you could schedule coffee for like a 4 or 5 p.m. It can last 15 to 30 minutes. But then if you start getting into the 45-minute to an hour, then you guys can start thinking of, okay, well, what do you want for dinner? Which is phase 2. Then you can actually go to some type of restaurant again. And for me, it's like when you said like no fast food, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. But I'm also like, I've had some first dates that weren't horrible at a fast food place. And that being said, it was just because like the vibe was just, we didn't want to sit at a restaurant. So we're like, let's just get Taco Bell, or let's just, something along those lines. Like the vibe was very much like, we were both feeling very casual, so we opted for a casual option. And that's kind of the cool thing about this, is that you guys are making the decisions together. So like I said, first phase, if if the chemistry is not there, easy out. Oh, it was lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for your time. You know, whatever. And then you guys can politely leave, no problem. But if you guys are conversations flowing really, really well, you guys have finished your coffee or your tea or your water, then you're like, oh, okay, well, can we still hang out? Or like, it's that feeling of like, I still want to hang out. Then you can go to a dinner or a dinner option. And then after phase 2, which is dinner, is phase 3, which is I don't know what to call this. Like, I don't know what the word would be, but it's you're having such a good time that you don't want to stop hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So then either you go find dessert, which if at the time I didn't really, and even the people I was dating, I don't even want to just say me, but like, at the time, not a lot of expendable income. So most of the time it was, do you want to go walk around Target? And those are the best because that's how much you love being with the person that you were like, you were having such a good time just being around them that you're like, let's just go mindlessly walk around Target just so I have a reason to hang out with you. And I am pro walking after you eat, and then back then you could, before you could get like a soda or, some popcorn, and then you literally just walk around Target. And if someone needed to pick up something because we're all young adults and we're constantly, busy and need to run errands, you're at a Target so you can pick it up. And, and then eventually, obviously at that point, you've already had, at that point it's already evening. So then it's an appropriate time to go home. But it's no pressure, no whatever. Like it's, very relaxed and whatever. And 9 times out of 10, if your first date makes it to the Target phase, you guys are probably going to end up dating because you guys just enjoyed being together so much that that was the vibe. You're just like, oh, I don't want to not be with this person. So, and it's cool because like I said, with each phase, it's like you have outs, but it's also like, it just gives you, it gives you a strong indication of how much you enjoyed being with this person. Because I don't know, especially during like the time of first dates, it's always like there's always that like newness of love feeling, and it's very giddy and very it's a high of its own in a lot of ways. So that's my very hyper specific formula of a good first date.
Well, that's a lot.
It is a lot. But again, it only like, it's only a lot if you want it to be a lot. If you don't want it to be a lot, you could leave after coffee. You could leave after dinner because you were just like, okay, I had a good time, but like, I'm good and I can just go home. But again, it's that idea of that the Target option is truly, truly, truly just I do not want to not hang out with you. Which is what happened. Our version of that is that I told you I don't want to go home and I just want to drive around with you. That's where that stems from, because it's like I just wanted to spend time with you and I didn't want that to end. So, same thing, kind of. But we didn't go to Target because it was post B-dubs.
The way that you explained how your first date was is something that I would imagine you would do in a relationship that had years of time in already.
But like, no, because like, again, it starts at the beginning, which is the sit down, very casual, very like low key, no pressure. We're just having some coffee. If I am not vibing with you, I'm out. If I'm vibing with you, oh, it's about 5:30. Do you want to go ahead somewhere and get some dinner? A very easy, casual way into a dinner. Have dinner. Again, only if things are going well. Like it's building upon itself. If it's not going well, I don't know, you found out he chews with his mouth open or something. I don't know, whatever your pet peeve is, name it down below. You find out the thing about him and you're just like, no, can't do that. Oh, he's, I don't know. Insert pet peeve here. He does this, she does this. Oh, okay. Well, I had a lovely evening. Thank you so much. Easy out. Phase 3 again is solely just the I'm so enamored with you and I want to hang out with you type of thing. Like that's not a, I don't know. I maybe I just when I was explaining it, it sounded very optimistic, but it's the idea of like it just grows and builds on itself, and there are easy outs, as in like societally accepted and polite ways of being like yes or no. Because sometimes it's a very obvious no, and the last thing you'd want is that you have no way out. Like I would hate if I go on a first date and this guy's taking me to a semi-nice restaurant, and then like within the first 15 minutes, I don't know, he said some type of comment about the waitress, and I'm immediately like my ick is on, and I'm just like, okay, no, but I don't have an easy out. And now I'm stuck here for another appetizer meal, and and I'm just like, I can't do that. So that's why you preempt with the Starbucks date, and then you go into the actual dinner part.
Well,
there's a sign. There's a reason.
For you, I guess if that's your typical first date, going all the way to make it to Target as it being a really well date or a really good date.
It was a good one, yeah.
That wouldn't have ever happened in my eyes. Like, I don't know. I guess it's just our timing. Like, the way you explained your typical or your ideal first date is what I would expect my group of friends would do on a regular day. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, we just hang out somewhere. We go somewhere to eat, and then we hang out somewhere else again. Yeah. And then, as people, like, lose interest, you just leave whenever.
Right. You just dip when you can because there's an easy out.
Yeah. But if it's a first date, an actual first date for me, I wouldn't want anyone else there. And, like, I wouldn't have, like, these types of stages. It's just main stage. That's it.
Main stage. Okay. And you know what? Honestly, that's totally fair. I think for me, again, and this is first date, like all-encompassing first dates. So the first dates of, like, people that you're, like, really interested in because, oh, that's that cute guy in my class. Or it's people that, so-and-so's brother's relative's cousin, second mother of a whatever, has a son and he wants to meet you. To the, this is covering all types because, again, that beginning, it's really that beginning buffer. That 15 to 20 minutes in a Starbucks catching vibes to make sure, like, are we on the same page? Because I don't want to spend more time with you than I'm obligated to. And if we're not, thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you. Handshake and walk away. Like, business transaction, we're good. But then if it's great, you're like, oh, then we have the option to make this great. That's how I see it. I mean, again, it maybe the way I'm explaining it just sounds very optimistic, but this is very much how me and my girlfriends, very hyper specifically in college, this is how we did quote unquote first dates. And, so all that to say, and you had mentioned this earlier too, because we were talking about how long a date should the first date should be. So in my scenario, your
yours
first
is
date,
like
no,
5-6 hours.
No. In my scenario, you could have a 15-minute first date, or you could have a 4 to 5 hour first date, if that's where the night goes, because it's going so well. And OMG, the vibes are great. Now, again, you also have the 15-minute option in my scenario. In your scenario, your main stage scenario, you're locked in for an hour at least, minimum. That does not include commute. So, I was about to say, does an hour feel like to me, I don't know. Again, it comes down to, if I'm not enjoying the company of this person, I don't want to continue sitting with them longer than I have to. But, like, I mean, okay, then I pass that question to you. You go on a first date, not even 5 seconds in, like, y'all sit down, and then she says, I really hate Pokemon, and I think it's really childish and immature.
Cool.
So what are you gonna do for the next hour?
So where are we at the dinner part right now?
You just sat down.
We just sat down.
Yes.
I'm getting up. I'm taking you home. Or if we drove separate, deuces. I'm leaving you here. Like, no.
See, it was my option. There's a polite way to do that.
But see, the way that I'm thinking of first date is like we've already established certain things. Like we have the same interests and stuff. Okay. It's not the first time we've ever talked.
Oh, okay. I was about to say mine encompasses everything in between.
Yeah.
Because the first date can be literally anywhere, anytime, at any point. Like, I mean, truly, you could just run into situations and you're just like, okay, I'll hang out with you tonight or something. And it's just like, what are we going to do? Let's go to Starbucks. Literally, let's go to Starbucks. Normally, it was the Starbucks at the mall that was close to my best friend's house so that if I needed to escape because he was a serial killer, I could just call her.
I don't know. I think this just also comes to the fact that I didn't have that many dates. Growing up. 100%. Whereas you had plenty.
Okay. Wow. Shade much. Jeez.
Whoa. Compare my dates to your dates. I can count mine on one hand.
This is correct. I could count the number of boyfriends I've had.
Oh, see, but that's hand. Not first dates.
1.5 hands. How many boyfriends have I had? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. I'm with my soulmate. So, anyways, I think, okay, so, and I think in this instance, or and how we're describing it, you know, when I was younger, first dates were just social interactions. They weren't as weighty. And that's not to say that I wasn't taking relationships seriously. It was just like, if an opportunity presented itself, I wasn't going to say no. Because most of the time I wasn't paying. So, who should pay on the first date? That's a horrible transition. Well, no, and I do, no, but okay. I do want to bring this up because I think it has become a topic of discourse on the interwebs. And, and I'm so intrigued because I feel like, again, I did grow up very conservatively, so I did always have the expectation that guys should pay, especially on the first date, but I never, and I think it just kind of naturally unfolded this way. It was always just like that was the courtesy, because then if you guys actually start dating, then it was just like okay, whoever pays would pay now, and then, you know, it's always a give and a take. Any of my friends will let you know I am very pro, like, I don't like splitting bills. It's my least favorite thing in the world. So I'll pay this time, you pay next time, and we just have a running tab of this time and next time. Because so then, and I think that's how, for the most part, we just kind of are like, whatever, when it comes to paying. We thank each other, but I don't think we're very blasé about it, and because it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I always, again, I could just be just the way I was raised. I always thought that guys would pay on the first date simply out of courtesy. But on the internet, apparently, it's such a big deal.
Yes, it is.
It's such a big deal. And I'm interested, do you agree with the internet or whatever their arguments are? Or you clearly paid for our first, I'm not going to deny that. He paid for our first date.
Yeah. But,
I don't know, your thoughts?
So me personally, I would pay for the first date.
Yeah.
Whatever it would be. So our first date was at Putt Putt. Mm-hmm. I did pay for the date.
Yep.
I don't remember what we did afterwards, but my belief is if it is a first date with someone that you like,
yeah,
I would generally say that the guy would pay. Mm-hmm. Now, I've read and I've heard on the interwebs, first dates are usually determined by who asked who first.
Oh, interesting.
So if it's the girl asking the guy out to the first date and they're planning, oh, we should go to a fancy dinner.
Okay.
A lot of people would say that the girl should pay because it
If
was
the
her
girl asked.
idea.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay,
Right.
no, I see what you're saying.
And it's also burdening the guy because if you're going to go to a fancy dinner, you're dropping like, what, 100 minimum?
100, 150, yeah.
And so if that wasn't the guy's first initial thought.
Homeboy was thinking, let's do Chili's, and she's like, nah, let's do Roots Creek.
Yeah. So it's like, am I going to pay your meal because you wanted to come here
Yeah.
and talk to me when I had something else planned?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a big factor in the interwebs,
Yeah.
just because money is always a problem.
Mm-hmm. What I've heard is that when the guy assumes that they should pay, this is not what I believe, because again, I've made it very clear. I just thought it was just like a courtesy thing, that their assumption that they should pay is a slight against the woman's ability to quote unquote have money to pay for the date. And so it's more of the idea of you guys like ask each other versus him just assuming to pay, because and again, I don't really know, this is just what I see, like supposedly hashtag independent woman, and the idea that like you would just slap your credit card down without asking me, or without like being like, oh, how'd you want to split the bill, is you telling me, I don't think you can take care of yourself, like you're not an independent woman, or whatever. Do I believe that? Absolutely not. I think that's hogwash, because again, I'm just like, no, it's just courtesy that he's paying for the first date. And you know, and now that being said, and this goes back to Starbucks first date, I think, you know, you should not put a lot at stake financially for a first date. So starting at a Starbucks where you're going to pay less than $20 for both y'all's drinks. And even then, what's cool about it is like if you time it right, which is generally what I would do, I would either get there earlier or later than the person so that I'd pay for my drink separately. So that it really is like a, you do you, I do me, we just happen to be hanging out. If the vibes are good, we move to phase 2. If the vibes are not good, thank you, next. And just move on. Because, again, it's kind of, I didn't want to be, and this is what I think about the whole, like, me, quote unquote, as an independent woman. I didn't want to just assume that from the get-go, the guy was whatever. Now, if we moved on to phase 2 with the whole dinner and situation or whatever, again, I would just kind of think, as a courtesy, you would pay for dinner. But it's also just like, okay, doesn't bother me if I have to pay either. Like, I'm not gonna. I appreciated it that you paid when we first went out. You paid a lot when we first went out, and I think you did that because you really liked me.
I did.
I hope you really like me still. But and I think that was your way of showing it to me, and I received it that way. That's why I received, you know, that was really, really nice. So yeah, all of that to say, I think I guess you should just kind of feel out how it is, because I feel like a lot of younger generations or like newer generations, they may feel a certain way about it. So maybe just asking either in advance or just kind of like trying to make it clear. I really am intrigued by the example that you said, where it's like, well, if the girl asks, then the girl pays, because I was the one who asked you if you'd want to like hang out with me more. So then I'm just like, I ended up not paying though, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking of it in the context of two random strangers, you know. This is their actual first time talking to each other. This is the first date.
Yeah.
So I don't know the different types of context, but I'm solely basing a first date on, we don't know that much about each other. So the first date whatever it may be,
Mhm.
is the first time you're actually getting to know each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I think we did say it earlier where there is a variety and a plethora of types of first dates. So obviously, I feel like everything that we're saying is just solely dependent on the actual situation.
Right.
Like it wouldn't apply here, but it would apply there. But that being said, as Chi said, we did our first date was putt putt. I want to say we went out to eat after that or something because I'm pretty sure we were. I still have the pictures. I know that, and I want to say like we ended up hanging out with the cousins afterwards or something like that. We met up with them and we ate or something, which was very, very sweet. I want to say from the beginning, Chiggy was always very cognizant of the fact that I hang out with and I love my cousins a lot, and he never made me feel weird about it because I didn't have younger siblings, so when I moved here they kind of became my adjunct younger siblings in a lot of ways. But anyways, so did you like our first date, or did you think our first date was unconventional? What were your thoughts on our first date?
Yeah, I liked our first date. I didn't think you'd come on that strong, being that competitive on our first date.
Well, because I thought I was gonna win. I'm from Florida. All we do is putt putt.
But yeah, I mean, it was a fun day. Would I think it's unconventional? No.
Yeah.
It's something I would regularly do.
Yeah. We did go to. What was funny was we went and no one was there.
Yeah.
Like it was just us and the lady that was running the place. Which I think that kind of, that not necessarily that it made it more memorable, but it was nice being able to genuinely just enjoy time with you. And yeah. And I'm pretty sure I was the one that suggested it too, now that I'm thinking about it, because I asked you, I was like, you want to go putt putt? I don't know any places that have putt putt. Do you know? And you were like, yeah, and you brought me there, and I was like, oh, okay. And it was a lot of fun. It was hot, but it was a lot of fun. You wore a gray shirt and you sweated right through it.
Yep.
Anyways, do you have any other final thoughts on first dates, Chiggy?
I mean,
or what? I guess if you could give advice to either your younger self or like, I don't know, anyone who's younger than you who like either maybe going on their first couple of first dates or like just don't really know what to expect, what would you?
Okay. So to all the younger generations out there, dating's hard.
Aw, it is.
Just trying to find someone to hang out with you on anything.
Yeah.
Especially it being your significant other or someone that likes you. It's tough. Like one of my friends is always telling me how a certain date went with whoever he's going out with, and I'm just like, dude, I can't imagine going through that now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, dude, you're spending like hundreds of dollars on random first dates, and it's just like, how do you have money still?
I was gonna say this person also does the most, so you know, I feel that he goes through a lot just for a first date, and I agree with you. I don't think I could. Not now.
Yeah.
Not now.
But for like the younger generation that I know of, for first dates, I guess the greatest thing to establish and, in any relationship is communication. Let your standards go out there. Let the other person know what you're expecting to happen or what your expectations are, so that both of you have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's not always something that has to be taboo, and it can't be discussed, but you want to make it memorable, so just put whatever you have out there. If they disagree, then it is what it is, but if they do like it, then you can keep going with that. Like for
Yeah.
you, go to your second and your third phases.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I also I want to I guess a continuing thought to this, because and you said it very succinctly. It's hard to find someone just to hang out with them, as in like finding someone that you can just be at peace with, being yourself.
correct.
That's not easy to find, but it's not supposed to be easy to find, because when you find your person, it makes sense. And that's why I agree to enjoy it, because you're learning more about yourself, you're learning more about other people. It's a great way to develop socially, and like I said, do the Starbucks date, easy in, easy out if it's a bad vibe, but if it's great, then it's great. And it's enjoy it, and don't put too much pressure on yourself or the other person, because at the end of the day, you're just two random blobs of things, of people. You're just a blob in space, and they're a blob in space, and if you guys want to blob together, then blob together. But if not, it's all good, and don't beat yourself up about it. Yeah, genuinely, if and when you find the right person for you, it does make a difference, and it does make that moment sweeter and better. So enjoy all the first dates, and then hopefully you'll have a first date, and then you'll know it's your last first date. So yeah, any final thoughts? No. Okay, well, this was a roller coaster of an episode. I feel like we started all over the place. We talked gaming, we talked wedding, and then we talked about dating, and then gave some older brother, older sister advice. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it was all over the place. I feel like also we just had a lot of things to talk about in a good way. Again, you guys should know this is how Chiggy and I catch up with each other too. So we had a lot of things to cover today, and we were really excited about this episode. I know I was, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, let us know in the comments down below you guys' thoughts, and hopefully let us know, have you guys had any good or bad first dates recently? So we can read some stories maybe. And also don't forget to let us know what topics you guys want us to talk about. Again, if you guys want us to keep talking about wedding content, and how often or how much you want us to talk about it, that would be very helpful, so that we know how much or how little to inundate you. And yeah, all that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.